What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over an attachment that I think could improve your aim, and when I started using this, I feel like my aim got a lot better with assault rifles. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below what you think of this, and if it's going to change, what you use or what attachments that you put on your weapons. So before we get into it, with how sights work in Fortnite, the magnification affects your sensitivity. So typically, like, the higher the magnification, the lower it will make your sensitivity. And this is partially why ARs can feel so weird to use with the higher magnification sights. Like, if I'm using a Warforged AR with like the 1x or 1.3 sight, I have no problem controlling the recoil. But with the thermal sight, my sensitivity feels too low to like pull down enough to actually counter the recoil in real time. And the same thing was kind of true last season of the 2x Striker AR. A lot of people didn't have a problem with the Striker AR, but the recoil felt out of hand when you had the 2x on it. And that's because it lowers your sensitivity. It makes it a bit harder to control. And a lot of people like to use the 1.3 sight on ARs, myself included, because I felt like that was a nice middle ground of having a bit extra zoom and making it a bit easier to see at range, while also feeling very controllable and just very easy to use with your ARs. But the 1.3 sight will make your sensitivity a bit slower than if you were to use the base red dot, especially if you're a controller player who obviously will have aim assist. So I'll have a clip on screen now from a video that Tommy LSP made. The full video and his channel will be linked down in the description below. He makes like a lot of videos like this that are kind of like a deep dive into like different settings or, attachments like this. And he's going to be spinning in a circle here. And he has a macro set up to where his character will just spin a set amount each time, right? And then the number he ends up on will kind of tell us how the attachment is affecting his sensitivity and how aim assist is affecting it when he does aim at people. Because if it's spinning the set amount every time and you're ending up on different numbers, depending on what sight or attachments you're using, that will let you know what the attachments are doing, right? And from these clips, the result that I want to talk about is going to be that the red dot sight is actually 110% of your base ADS sensitivity. So it's a bit faster than your base ADS would be without it. And even with aim assist, it's still moving at 55% of your ADS speed. The 1.3 hollow sight moves at 85% of your ADS speed. And with aim assist, it goes down to 42%. So it's about 25% slower when ADS'd and about 13% different with aim assist. And so you might look at these numbers and think, okay, the hollow is just clearly the better choice because it's going to slow you down a bit more, make it a bit easier to control. And then aim assist is going to make your sensitivity slower with this sight, again, making it easier to control and easier to stay on target. And that would be true, I think, if the weapons were hit scan and you were shooting at targets that weren't moving very much or maybe moving pretty slow. But if the opponent's moving faster, then having that sensitivity feel lower will make it a bit harder to like keep up with them, And then the same is true of hit scan versus projectile, because in chapter 5, all of the ARs are projectile, meaning you have to worry about bullet drop and travel time. And in some instances, like aim ahead of where your opponent is so that your bullets hit them. And this is why I think having the scope that reduces your sensitivity less is actually a bit ideal, because it makes it easier to aim ahead of the opponent if needed. You don't have to like fight aim assist as much. I'm sure if you're a controller player, you can kind of relate to this, where like you've had times where aim assist reducing your sensitivity made it harder for you to actually aim because you needed to aim, you needed to make a larger adjustment than like kind of what that sensitivity would allow you to do. And I think that's very apparent this season with like needing to lead your shots. You don't always want to be aiming on the opponent, so having your sensitivity be super slow when you're on them can actually be a detriment in some cases. And then also, when your opponent is moving super fast, you might also want that faster sensitivity. So like in chapter 5, snipers are very good, and so I end up using a sniper or a DMR for most of my like medium to long range fights, where like maybe, we're posted up aiming at someone who doesn't know we're there, or who like isn't moving themselves, who's at like a position of advantage or like behind cover or something, The times where I'm using my AR most are like the crazy fights when the opponent's using shockwaves, when they're using Cerberus dashes. when they're using wings, when they're using cars, like those close medium range fights or situations where the opponent is using mobility is when I use my AR most. And in those situations, you're going to want that faster sight, right? Because you're going to want to be able to make a larger adjustment and catch up with the opponent if they're shockwaving or if they're using wings, or aim ahead of them if they're doing any of that. And having your sensitivity be lowered more by your sight and aim assist makes it harder to track somebody that's moving very fast. And it makes it harder to aim ahead of them if and like consistently aim ahead of them. So that's why I think the red dot, it might actually be the best choice for a lot of players. I don't think this is really that cut and dry though. It depends on the person. But since switching to the red dot, I feel like I've been beaming people using mobility much more often, whether it's shockwaves, cars, wings, doesn't matter. I find it much easier to like consistently aim ahead of the opponent with the red dot sight over the hollow. And this was something that I'd never really kind of noticed, but I think Tommy told me about this and I was like, okay, I guess I'll give it a try and see. And it's like, yeah, it definitely did feel a lot easier to aim ahead of the opponent. Also, the recoil of the Warforged AR is hard for some people to control. They've said that like their sensitivity is too low to counteract the recoil of this weapon, and maybe going to red dot over the hollow sight, that difference, that like percentage difference in ADS speed might make it a bit easier for you to control the recoil. Like at the start of the video, I talked about how like thermal reduces my sensitivity so much that I'm not able to control the recoil of the weapon anymore and actually aim where I want to aim. But with the red dot, the faster sensitivity might make it a bit easier for some of you. There's a downside, obviously, though. The sight does have less magnification at 1x versus 1.3. So if you are someone who struggles to see opponents at range, that might be a concern of yours. But like I already talked about, with how the meta has played out in Chapter 5, Season 1, and Season 2, if you're in a fight that's like past 50 or 60 meters, you probably just want to be sniping or using a DMR anyways, and like peeking into a sniper with an AR likely isn't going to go your way because there isn't very much flinch on these ARs, on the sniper, sorry. Like when you're tagging the sniper, it's not like their aim kicks up enough. So you could tag them 100 and then they just headshot snipe you and the game's over, right? So in long range, I'm not using my AR anyway, so I didn't really feel like the red dot impacted my ability to see opponents much at all, if anything. And I found it made it a lot easier to deal with people using mobility, which is the situations when I was using my AR most anyways, because again, the snipers are so good and the snipers are such like a meta weapon so far this chapter. Also, if you're somebody who likes using a sight on the shotgun, which you might for the Gatekeeper shotgun because it is somewhat inaccurate or it has like a rather large spread, I would definitely go with the red dot over the hollow sight on shotguns if you are going to be somebody using sights on shotguns, because it won't slow down your sensitivity as much and you can hopefully be able to aim down sights sometimes when it's necessary, but not slow down your sensitivity so much that you can't really like keep up with the opponent or anything. So if you're going to use a sight on a shotgun, I would highly recommend the red dot. And I would highly recommend you try it on ARs and kind of see how it feels to you, and if you like it, and if you feel like you're still able to consistently land shots at medium range, but also deal better with people using mobility or those situations where you need to lead the target. If you like the hollow, or if you try the red dot and you don't like it, that's fine. It's not really that cut and dry, like I said, but for me, I feel a lot better with the red dot sight. And I think I always did, like using the Striker AR with it last season, the Nisha Mythic always felt good, and Ares Mythic always felt good. But I never really chalked it up to the sight that much. But now that I've consistently started to use the red dot, it's just felt great to me, and I've been beaming people. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful, informative, interesting. As always, if you did, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below what you think of this, and if you're going to try it out. Also, Tommy's channel will be linked in the description, like I said. It'd be awesome if you guys could check him out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.